Okay, talk to me about rear deck lid adjustments. I'm just going to show you. So this is definitely not where I want the line to be. There's things that aren't working, so be patient there. But you can see on this end, you know, the line is pretty good. I mean, it's going to seal fine, seal fine, seal fine. By the way, I'm going to do Mexican seals. But then on this end, I've got a pretty big gap right down here. And I can't quite figure that out, but maybe I have to do something here, because right now it's sitting right on the back of there. Do I need to do something here? Are these the only adjustments I can make? Or up in here, can I loosen those bolts and make some adjustments as well? I just don't really know. And I don't really want to loosen anything there until I know whether or not that's an option. Like, is that slotted at all? Is there back and forth movement I can make? Or is it just here? I also think that that bracket is a little bit bent. I mostly think that because I accidentally bent it. So I might need to bend it back. But talk to me about these adjustments here. How can I get that side sitting better? So in this episode, we're not really doing a lot of per se metalwork sort of stuff. We are just fitting the rear deck lid. And you'll see at the beginning that I have that apron. That's a removable apron. Normally they are welded in, like coming from factory. If you have one that hasn't been modded, you'll see that it is just welded right to those rear wing pieces, fender well pieces. And the reason why you may want to do a removable apron is that it just gives you better access to the engine. It makes it really, really simple for dropping your engine or removing your engine, or if you have to do other things back there. It just gets one thing out of the way that will just make the job a little bit easier. So I definitely recommend that mod. I do believe I have an episode where I talk about that and show how I do it. So just maybe check back and have a look at that if you are interested in doing that mod. Now at this point with fitting the rear deck lid, I am just hoping, my hope here is that I just want to make sure that everything is going to line up. So I am like looking at my gaps and just want to make sure that everything's okay, that there isn't anything that is going to maybe make things more difficult for me like down the road. One thing I did realize, and I can't remember how I bent it, but I think I did bend one of those arms. So the rear deck lid kind of like sits down in some arms, and one was kind of bent out a little bit. So that might be something you want to check. I can't remember how I bent it, but as you can see me say in the video, I bent it. I can't remember how. But just make sure that those are both the same. Then you'll have the best like starting point, and then things won't go awry down the road. You'll also hear me talk in the video about Mexican seals. Those are different than the factory seals. And I believe they're called Mexican seals mostly just because that these seals became more common on the Volkswagens that were being manufactured out of Mexico. Now normally, what you would have is sitting on the body, there's a channel that goes around the opening, and you slide your seal into that channel. Well, the problem with that channel is that it is just a notorious sort of place where moisture will collect, because it is just sheet metal on sheet metal, and your moisture will get stuck in between there, and it just is notorious for collecting moisture, and then that part just rusts out. And so a lot of people recommended, as I was working on this, they said, do a Mexican seal. And I hadn't really heard about that, but basically it does the same thing, only instead of your seal running through a channel, sitting on the body where rust is going to happen, it's just a little channel seal that seals around the deck lid lip. And so you'll have a much better chance of not having areas rust out down on your body where that channel is. You just take that channel completely out, and then your seal is up on the deck lid. It looks nice, it looks fine. It doesn't look factory like OEM, but that's a really small thing that, like if you're going to be picky about that, that's a pretty small thing to get picky about. So I did that on the front deck lid and the rear deck lid. Looks great. Won't have rust problems there. Like anybody who's taken off that channel knows that it's just like, especially on the front, it is just like in between those two sheets. So you've got your body and the channel, it's just full of rust. So I would recommend that as well if you're thinking of doing, if you're doing in the process of doing this and can remove that channel, do Mexican seals. It'll be a way better upgrade. And the last little bit of not advice, but just knowledge I can give you is just how you adjust the deck lid, like what each sort of point of adjustment does, because you have got 2 points of adjustment. So you've got on the body, up under, where it goes back and forth, and then you've got on those arms where it kind of goes up and down. So I found that if you adjust the back and forth first, that will adjust your gap. So if you're looking for, I don't know, maybe a 5 to 8 millimeter gap, you adjust those first and you get your gap, and then tighten that down. And then the second adjustment you'll make is the up and down on the arms, those arms that are back there. And I think I've got a picture that hopefully I've put up by now. And basically those arms up and down are going to determine, that your two, so if you've got the body and the deck lid, you want those sort of on the same plane, so you adjust those back and down. So basically on the body, up under the body, the back and forth, it's going to be gap, and then the other one is going to be up and down. So there's definitely one that you want to do first, which is, I think, the gap adjustment. So hopefully that helps someone. Now, some of you may also be asking, is this important to do at this stage? And I say emphatically, yes, it's important to do. You want to do these adjustments as often as you can. Not adjustments, these checks, I would say. Check and adjust and get things as good as you can get it as early on as you can do it. Because that will just help things down the line as you get deeper and deeper into your restoration. You don't want to have to, all of a sudden you've got everything in paint and be adjusting these things and realize that your arm is bent and now you've got to bend it back and maybe you've ruined your paint or things like that. So yes, it's really important to be doing these checks as early as you can, as often as you can, or as often as you feel is necessary. And so as I was working on that whole rear end, especially with that removable apron now, I want to get everything on there and make sure that all my gaps are looking good, or at least in a place where I feel happy about it. So is it important to do these checks? Yes. Just do it as often as you can. Don't leave it. It takes, it'll take you an afternoon to kind of sort everything out, but it is well worth it when you are on final assembly and everything just goes together perfectly. And I guess that's all I can say about it. So there you go. All right, so we're in a place that I think I can be really happy with where it is. I fiddled around with a lot of the points where you can change some things. The gap running on the top is about 5 mil all the way across. Might be a little bit smaller here. But again, guys, this isn't final fitment. This is just to make sure that when we put it on for the last time, after paint and everything, we can get it fit. I'm happy with how the gap is at the top. You open it up, it's not gonna hit. And then as far as the side goes, I'm happy with it because now the gap is basically like the same on each side. So it's a little bit of a gap, but I think that that rubber gasket is going to fix it. But it's the same over here now. So it's where it was, you know, sitting more flush on this side before. Now both sides have got that little bit of a gap, which I think when we get that rubber gasket in there, that'll help. But seriously, guys, I think this is looking great. I'm super happy.